Welcome to the Your Music Industry Podcast.
The podcast that gives you a direct route into the music industry's greatest minds. Your Music Industry is proudly brought to you by the Liverpool Audio Network with your host, Daniel Fisher-Jones.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Your Music Industry Podcast. Today we're on episode number 16, and funnily enough, 16 is one of my lucky numbers. So whether you're listening to this episode while you're on your commute to work, have a great day, and if you're listening after a hard day's work, I hope you've had a great day too. Today we are going international, and we are going to the city that has a techno museum. Yep, we're going to Berlin. But whether you've been to Berlin, whether you're into techno, chances are if you're listening to this podcast, you make music or you know someone that does. Today's episode is brought to you in collaboration with Warrior Sound. They've released a brand new online course called 21 Ways to Monetize Your Music. And the great thing is you can be on the course too. We've got not one, not two, but 10 passes to give away to the course. So head over to yourmusicindustry.com/win to be in the chance of being on the course. Today's guest is a Berlin-based DJ and producer who actually grew up on the other side of the world in Brazil. After spending her earlier years playing guitar in several punk bands, she asked her friends to teach her the basics of computer music. Now, as a world-renowned artist under her solo alias of TERR, under a duo called Digitaria, and with her own label called Clashline, today's guest has a wealth of experience in the industry and is crafting her own signature sound, is gaining so much traction with every single one of her ventures. I'd like to introduce you to today's guest, Daniela, or also known as TERR. So welcome, TERR, to the Your Music Industry Podcast. It's great to be talking to you today from one side of Europe to the other. How are things in Berlin?
Yeah, things are awesome. I'm super excited. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem. So could you talk us through Tale of Devotion, the new record, the story behind it, and later on we'll talk about kind of the technical production behind it?
Yeah, sure. So I'm super excited about this new release. It's going to be out on Eros Alchem label, Phantasy. That I'm I'm a very big fan of Eros Alchem. He's a awesome DJ, and he's been involved with a lot of artists that I really admire. For example, like Conor Maxim and Daniel Avery, for example. And I'm very glad to be part of his label Phantasy. And he came to me I don't know, maybe 8 months ago or something like that, asking for music, and I didn't hesitate to send the thing that one of the best works I had, and I didn't hesitate to send the material that I was the best thing I had, that was this music that I was working for months. That was the song Tale of Devotion. I'm very shy and I don't sing a lot on my songs. Some of them, the last ones that I sang was Heavy Weather, that I released on Permanent Vacation on 2017 or 18, I don't remember. But I don't sing quite often, so I consider a very special release when I'm able to sing, because it's something that I can, because it's something that occurs very naturally. You know what I mean? Has to be from the inside.
Yeah.
And this was a very special work for me, and I didn't hesitate to send to Aero this work, Tale of Devotion, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm really looking forward to this release. And has this Spring Thomas remix. I'm a big fan of Prince Thomas, his disco vibes. I've been fan of Prince Thomas and Lindstrom for a long time. This kind of new disco vibes. Is one of my favorites dance music for nowadays. That So I'm super excited and very honored to work with these people. So really looking forward to this.
So later on in the episode, I'd love to talk about kind of the whole approach to Phantasy and TERR Alkan. But before we get to that, I'd love to hear more of the story behind the release, as it's got a kind of a powerful title called Tale of Devotion. Is there a story behind that at all?
Actually, the original name of the track was Lover. Simple as that, because of the lyrics, was Lover. And I think there was quite a lot of names with this track. I don't know why. I was suggested to change the name of the track, so I was wondering another name, and I was looking for another name. So came to me Tale of Devotion. So that's it. But the original name, the work name and everything, was Lover. And to me, it's still Lover. And
So does the inspiration come from that track, come from love, or come from any experiences you had, or was it just sitting down at your computer, at your synths, and just going crazy? Or
actually, it's very curious, because this track, I composed this maybe, I think, 10 years ago or something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, very old composition of mine. And I was just searching on my files, because I was let's see what I have here. And I had these beats, just some beats with the bass line or something like this, with this vocal, not even English, in just some language that I don't know what language it was, just something. And with this vocal line, and some beats with the bass line and beats, it was made I think in 2008. I saw the files, and I was oh, this is interesting. I think I can work on it. And then I brought this back, and I was really struggling to compose some vocals on that strange language that I had there. And, because it's not easy, for me, as a native Portuguese speaker, to compose in English and everything, it's always a challenging thing. And it's originally what sounded like Electroclash song. And then I was working on it, and it became this disco song. I was shaping for a long time. For example, I worked for, I think, 2 months straight, and on the lyrics, on the sounds and everything, and became what it is today. So, and I'm super happy with the results.
That's a journey in itself. 10 years. That's insane. A decade. Wow. So
yeah, it was made a decade ago. Actually,
that's crazy. Can't believe that. So regarding the technical production of the new release, I've had the pleasure to listen to it, and I absolutely adore this combination of vocals with a solid foundation to the track, with a really, I'd say, inspired by synth poppy kind of bass line. Then also some string motifs on the top. Listening to the track, the bass line brought to mind Giorgio Moroder's work on Donna Summer's I Feel Love.
Totally.
Yeah. Was that? Can you hear that yourself, or?
At the end, I was oh God, this reminds me Donna Summer and Giorgio Moroder. For me, I'm very glad to remind that of course, I can't be compared to them. They're so goddess people, but something, of course, it's almost that it's on my DNA or something like this, I didn't want to copy them, but if something inspires so much that you naturally reproduce something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's just a natural expression, isn't it?
It's a natural expression, you totally got it. I didn't want to copy them, But when I was listening to it, like I was like, oh, okay, like, and then more than one person told me, and I was like, oh, I totally agree. Like, I kind of feel glad about it to remind them, but like, there's no, like they're totally next level. You know what I mean? But I'm just something that it's all my inspiration. They are my inspiration, of course. And so it's natural for me, like, to reproduce what I've been listening to since I'm a teenager, or since you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. So what have you used to produce that track? Is there any hardware in there, or is there any specific pieces of software that really helped you craft this sound, or what did you use to create Tale of Devotion?
Basically, like, the bass line. I always use, for example, a very good friend of mine is the Moog. Is most of my tracks, I use Moog to create the bass lines. It's a good friend.
Very good friend.
Yeah, and another hardware that I use that people kind of have something against it, and I really don't, is the Virus. Because Virus has a lot of presets, and actually you can find like everything there. And basically I'm a very good fan of Sub 37 of Moog, and most of my bass lines I create on Moog Sub 37. And also like Access Virus, it's always on my hands, always on my hands. And the violins, that was the challenging thing.
Were they live recorded, or were they samples, or
samples?
Samples,
yeah. But it was not easy to do that. Like first, they were created in MIDI, and then like I used it like sample bank to do that, and then everything was pretty basic, like just sample batteries. Like I really like to use some, there's always like some piece of lead drums on my things, and and the vocals. I always use, for example, layers of vocals, like so many layers. I record for the vocals, like if I can, I record like 80 times. I'm so obsessive about the vocals, about the perfect take, because I can't say that I'm like a super singer or something like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't consider myself like, you singer or something, but I'm a very, very obsessive studio singer, and I'm really looking forward for the best take, and I know that that I can do good takes, and like doing layers of voices, like one voice in the first, the other voice in the third, the other voice in the fifth. So you layer those voices, like sound really nice, like so that's basically like how I produce it. Tale of Devotion, Heavy Weather also, like it's always like the same thing, the way I work.
And do you think that heavily impacts on your own like signature sound? So especially with the vocals, because through that you're creating this really like dense texture and harmony. So having this kind of like not exact structure but a framework that you use to make music, do you think that's really helped you get your signature sound as TERR?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Wow. Okay, fantastic. So in regards to the release Tale of Devotion on Phantasy, could you talk us through how you built the connection with Errol Alkan, as he is an industry legend? He was very recently in Liverpool playing for BB6 Festival, so I'd love to learn how you built that connection with him.
I had this duo with my partner Daniel in my label Clash Lion. We still like working together very much. Like we still in our label Clash Lion. We had this project called Digitaria that we used to release on Hot Creations and other labels like Get Physical, Bedrock, and we have like a very extensive history. Like we played together like for 15 years. And this guy that used to work for Hot Creations, like called Leon, he's a label manager and everything. He's label manager of Phantasy as well. And he was label manager of Hot Flush as well, that I used to release. On my first release, TERR was on Hot Flush. His name is Leon, a very nice guy. He came after me asking if I had some new tracks. And Leon was my connection with Aerocom, so
that's what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was it, like Leon.
So looking into your musical past, you were born in Brazil.
Yeah.
Now you're in Berlin. You started in punk, and now you're in electronic music. Could you talk us through your journey to becoming TERR? Like what all the like big milestones on the way, and any specific turning points in musicality and changing where you lived?
Oh well, like from punk to electronic music, the connection was the Electro Clash on the early 2000s. Like because I was like on the high school at the time, so I started to see this movement like that was going on in Europe and in the United States. Like, I was really fascinated about these people, like on the club kids and, everything that was going on like on the European in the United States, like New York scene. And I was like very fascinated about starting to be fascinated with the electronic scene here, and I started to be interested about producing, and that's how I get to meet Daniel. That was my first teacher on electronic music, and then we became like together on Digitaria. And for my surprise, soon we were releasing on Gigolo Records. That was one of our heroes, DJ Hell. And we were releasing there like some years after, like, so we kind of were accomplishing a dream, you know what I mean? So from Berlin from Brazil to Berlin, how did that come about? Literally going from one side of the world to the complete other. Oh wow! So I had like these 6 years in Barcelona on the way, and Barcelona is an amazing place, like really sunny, and has this really the electronic scene there. It's fun. It's light, but it's not exactly what I wanted for me, like, so I decided to come to Berlin for a new air.
That's interesting.
Like to search for more intense vibes. So I have like from Brazil, and I have like the 6 years in Barcelona. I just moved to Berlin like in December. I'm super new here in Berlin. I'm a new kid on the block. So, and I'm very happy in here, to be honest. I'm really happy in Berlin.
So, in terms of deciding to move to Berlin, because that must have been a big jump, did you have like a job lined up, or were you full time with music? How did you support yourself and understand how you could kind of support yourself through literally moving country?
Full time with music. Yeah, totally.
Wow. That's a dream right there. So well done for being able to achieve that. That's a dream.
Yeah, I was able to do this because of my previous project, Digitaria, because I really accomplished a lot with this project. So before, now I have quite a lot of gigs with TERR, but before finishing Digitaria, I was also having these gigs with Digitaria. So this transition was being made very, very smart, smoothly. So that's why I could do this with the music. So, and I've been involved with this since I'm 18. So it's a long time investing in your music.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get to Clash Line, as I'd love to learn more about that story, could you at all open up to the end of Digitaria? What caused that? Was it just deciding to go your own ways? You wanted to focus on your solo career, or was there any reasons around that separation?
Actually, I couldn't say that it's the end. It's a pause.
Okay.
We were wanting to focus on different kind of music, and we still working together on the label. We are best friends, Daniel and I. There was nothing wrong about our relationship or anything. We are brothers and sisters. But he's focused on his career and his own interests, and I'm focusing on TERR full time. But we are pausing this right now because I think we need to. I think it was necessary. Digitaria needs to breathe.
Yeah.
It was a very old project with a long history. We felt if we still going, we would not be able to go to a good way that we would be maybe proud of it. So it's good to keep, things, with in a good shape. I don't know if it's.
Yeah. I totally understand. Keeping things fresh, keeping things alive, keeping things different. Because after all, it is art, and it can be tough, and you can be inspired to go down different routes as well, can't you? All the time, so you've got to stay on your tiptoes, so to speak.
Yeah. So we decided to froze the project. It maybe in 2 years, we just come back with new music or something like this. We still very active and creative minds, and we really love each other as person and everything. We're still working together and everything in the label. So there's any reason.
Yeah, no hard feelings or anything. Yeah.
No, and I don't see any reason why not to do anything new, in a couple of years. We just needed some air for Digitaria.
As a listener of today's episode, you have the opportunity to win a place on an online course. This online course, 21 Ways to Monetize Your Music, and it's created by Warrior Sound, today's podcast partner. This course breaks down how you can turn your music to be an asset to make income from so many different streams, so you can go full-time with music. And as you will already know from the intro, we have not 1, not 2, but 10 passes to give away to the course. So in all honesty, you've got a high chance of being on the online course. So my question to you is, do you fancy the chance of winning the 21 Ways to Monetize Your Music online course? If so, head over to yourmusicindustry.com/win to be in the chance of winning your place. So isn't Daniel one of the co-founders of Clash Line too?
Yeah, it's Daniel, me, and Austin Nicholas.
So would you be able to talk us through the story of Clash Line, as I believe it's really interesting to see how 3 of you joined together to start your own label and how it is still going. I'd love to hear more of the story of it.
Yeah, so the 3 of us, we live in Barcelona. And we decided to found the label together. in, I don't know, 2 years ago. And Nicholas has this strong relationship with Macéoplex, Maetric. They've been working together like since, I don't know, before like Macéoplex was famous and everything. So they have like a very close relationship. So Macéoplex, Eric, decided to give him the first release of the label, which we are very glad about it, because it was like the first release of Maetric like in years, maybe like, I don't know, in a really, really long time. So we are very glad about it. So it was very cool. Like, it was a very good start for our label, that we are really proud of it.
So what inspired you to create the label in the first place? Is there anything specifically that did inspire you?
Is to have the liberty of putting our things out whenever we want to. You know, like to have our own things out. You know, for example, like Daniel and Nicholas and I, we produce a lot of music, so maybe, okay, like we just produce this track or something like this, or we find music that we love, so why not to put this out in our own hands? So that's it. You know, like also we have a lot of in common, so, and we were sharing the same apartment. That's why also.
Yeah, like the creative freedom and being in the same apartment block. I love it.
Yeah. So we were roommates, so we were like, oh, let's have a label. So we are not in the same room apartment anymore. So, but anyway, like we're still in contact and everything is going good, and we still like. We are very good friends, and, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And we're still very excited about the label. Like, we have some release, like, we're going to release, like, this guy from London called Tradison, and Annie. Annie is she's been releasing Compact. She had this, her second EP on Compact, and so it's Tradison and Annie. And the next one is going to be a compilation, so we have plans for the label, and we're excited about it. So probably Daniel is moving to Berlin, so we're going to have like this like
gonna have a lot of time
Berlin.
Together again.
Yeah. So Berlin and Barcelona offices, so it's gonna be good. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the plans of the label and everything.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing everything you do with the label. So I'd love to take a step back from talking about TERR to your whole industry experience. And have you had any specific challenges in the industry? And if so, would you be able to talk us through what they were and how you maybe got past them?
Okay. You know, well, I could say that because I've just been here in Europe for 6 years now, 6.5 years. And before that, I've been like involved with in dance music as a DJ and producer like for, I don't know, almost 16. So it was a long journey before coming to Europe. And I say that before this, I was like, most of my career was in Brazil, in South America. And of course, it's not really easy to be a woman on the industry, touring and everything, like. So I think it was a challenging thing for me, like back in the days, as a woman in South America and everything, like maybe people don't take you too serious. I don't know. I don't want to be too dramatic here, like, because I really believe things are getting better now. Like, people are getting more conscious, but I think people are discussing a lot about this right now, and things are getting much better. But I think everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's an old issue, and I'm talking about things that happened like maybe 16 years ago, like about being like a woman in the industry, like, long time ago, and this kind of things. It was very challenging thing for me.
How did you, if you don't mind me asking, how did you kind of like combat that? If you had a lot of people kind of not believing you, did you have to like turn your belief up in yourself up by like 200%, or is there anything you did that really helped yourself? Because that must have been pretty frictionful being in that environment.
Actually, there was like one particular situation that was very curious, because I was playing with Daniel, like in Brazil, like touring, like in Brazil, South America and everything. And one day Daniel was sick. And I was like by myself. And this promoter said like, okay, like, Daniela is by herself, like, and he was like, he came to me and said like, how do you want me to hire someone to play with you? And I was like, no. no. Thank you, but no, it's not really necessary. I really can play. And he was like, oh, okay. And then like, the only thing I had to do was do what I knew, like, for such a long time, like just play. And that was the thing that I just, to combat that, I just need to play.
Yeah, prove them wrong.
And maybe the guy would realize that that thought that he had was not really necessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That's crazy.
But yeah, that's crazy. But it was not a long time ago. Maybe 5 years ago this happened. So the people were not able to think that I was kind of. And I've been DJing for such a long time. So when Daniel was not able to show up, maybe he had to hire somebody to play with me. Like, I was like, oh no. No. So kind of awkward, but anyway.
So if there was someone in the world in that position that you were, say, 5 years ago or 15 years ago, and they're struggling, have you got any tips for them on maybe how to surpass it, how to combat it, or anything on that note, would you say?
I would say that there's no, it's not necessary like to prove, like to, it's just do what you have to do. Like, just do, like, just go there and play, just do your job, just naturally. And then, like, the other thing is gonna be, like, people you understand. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to, like, I just say, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have...
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to be angry about it. You don't have, like, to... You just go there and do your job like the best you can. Like always do the best you can. Like I always try to do the best I can, always. And then like that's it.
Okay, that's fantastic. That resonates so much with myself. It's be you. Don't be confrontational, but also just be true to yourself. Be who you are, and I absolutely love that. Yeah,
exactly. Just be true to yourself. Like, just go there and do what you have to do, and don't lose your mind. Just don't think about because you being like misogynist and blah blah blah. No. Like that's what I think. Like just breathe and do what you have to do, and then people will understand. You know, like it's their problem. It's not mine.
I love that. That is fantastic, and I think that rounded up that section perfectly. I completely love that. So the next question could be in the form of time, money, energy, anything really. Over the past 5 years, could you name some worthwhile investments that really impacted on yourself? For example, in the past, these answers have ranged from investments into like the Moog or yoga and meditation classes. So is there anything you've invested in the past 5 years that's really helped you as a person?
Okay, there is something that I consider very interesting that, I don't know if it was before the Second War or First World War, that people didn't consider that brushing their teeth was really necessary. Something like this. And then on the 70s, after the 70s, people started to realize that taking care of their bodies, like exercising, was necessary. There are some things that people start to realize in the time that it's necessary for them. And now people are starting to realize that meditation is necessary. It's not a spiritual thing. It's almost like it's scientific. Because, like you have to be focused on now. Nothing matters. Because the meditation is nothing else than keep your mind on the present. It's not minding about the past or about the future, because the future is about a projection about your fears or expectations. Something that things that you don't even know that is going to happen, or things on the past. So what matters is the now. So meditation is the training of the mind about the present time. And I think after considering this, I think I became a much better person. And so I think one of the most important things in my life that I discovered on the last years was the meditation. And I think every person should do at least 20 minutes a day. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I totally agree with that myself. So my background is 15 minutes in the morning, 15 at night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's part of my own Zen practice, you see. So I totally resonate with exactly what you're saying. So from your own perspective, maybe creatively, has meditation had an impact on your music production craft at all?
Oh, totally. I think there was a lot of influence. I became more creative, because I'm not the kind of I don't believe that, I'm not the kind of artist that it's creative from the misery. I'm a better artist when I'm good with myself. I become more creative, more, because people has like this glamour thing about the sadness, about this thing, and like I'm not this kind of artist. I don't have this kind of, I'm better with when I'm feeling good, I'm sitting, even though like what the final result is kind of sad or something like this. I have to be feeling kind of good, because if I'm feeling bad, I just want to be bad, like in my bed, eating Doritos, drinking some beers, like watching some shitty Netflix show, you know. Like when I'm bad, I don't want to be creating thing. Like I want to be creating thing when I'm good. So I don't feel any glamour about sadness or depression, like as an artist. You know. So
that's really interesting. As Paul Nolan on the podcast a fair few episodes back said exactly that. You make the best music when you're basically at one with yourself, when you're happy, you're expressive. Even if it does come out sad, you're just expressing that moment. And it's fantastic and interesting how that's come up again. So thank you very much for expressing that.
Okay.
So I've got one final question before my final question, funnily enough. And this could be on a local level to Berlin or on an international scale. So what change would you like to see in the music industry over the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
Okay. I became very happy to see like more women on the industry, and people like looking for more women on the industry, and an industry like with more diversity, with gay people, trans people, more women, like more diversity in women, not dominated with you know, American and white heterosexual men. You know, like nothing really, you know, like more diversity, like a space for everybody, including the white heterosexual American European men. Everybody together, like the Latin women as me, like the gay women, the black women, the trans people, and everybody, like, because like there's so much talent, and I think it's not easy, you know, like, and I think people are looking forward to it, and I can see that. I can see that people are demanding for it. So I would like this to be increased more and more, you know, not to be, you know, because you know, in my home country, Brazil, I've been seeing like this movement of fascism and everything, and I became very, very sad seeing this in my home country. You know, like all this movement in my country, like that doesn't represent the most of the population, but part of the population. And, you know, and on the dance music here in Europe and in the global, worldwide and everything, like, I would like to see like the opposite movement, you know, like more inclusive, you know, like more inclusive movement, because like it was so sad to see like these things happening to my country. So at least like on the dance music and where I'm working with, I would like to see like something opposite. So that's it.
Sound. Well, I absolutely love that personally. Like diversity, inclusivity. It's what music is. Music's art. Music's expression. So part of that is inclusivity. It's that bringing everyone together, uniting under music. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I absolutely adore that.
Cool.
So TERR, where can people find you online?
Oh, okay. Like you can find me like in Facebook, SoundCloud, all the social networks and everything. Like I'm there.
Fantastic. So links to your brand new release, Tale of Devotion, will be on the show notes, will be pushed through the marketing of the podcast. But thank you so much, Daniela, for being a part of the podcast. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
I'm afraid this draws a close on today's Your Music Industry podcast episode with TERR. I'd love to hear what you think of the episode. Use hashtag Your Music Industry to let us know on social media. Don't forget to be in with the chance of winning the online course by Warrior Sound called 21 Ways to Monetize Your Music. head over to yourmusicindustry.com/win to be in the chance of winning. And until the next episode, I hope you have a productive, creative and fantastic week. See you then.